Three, two, one. Welcome to the card review for Shaman in Witchwood. This is Adwikta.
This is Merps. Is that like your shaman voice? Are you trying to be
No,
like scary?
no, this is my tired voice. This is
Okay.
my. We are officially past midnight in this card review that has been going on for for 5 hours
5 hours.
now.
Math. Okay, yes. And now we are talking about shaman, one of the last three classes. So let's get to it. As we have done for all the other classes, we're going to first look at what is leaving.
Shaman didn't lose anything too bad, did it?
Oh yeah, no. It's just a couple of like uneventful cards like Stormcrack, Flame Wreath Faceless. I mean, no one ever played a 4 mana 7/7, right? Evolve, Master of Evolution, Thing from Below, Hammer of Twilight, Maelstrom Portal, Jade Claws, and Jade Lightning. You never saw these cards in the arena. So, okay, in all seriousness, holy cow, they're losing a ton. Like I said in the Hunter review, like hunters and shamans are by far the biggest losers because of this rotation. They lose key cards that are independently good, and they lose a style of play. So Jades are not a thing anymore. And if you have been playing in the 10.4 meta, you know that Jade Shaman was like a thing. They could definitely get like 4/4, 5/5 Jades out. They're missing, past this as well, they are missing Crackling Doom. That is a super duper premium card that is no longer in the meta anymore. And then they lose all of these ridiculously powerful cards, and not just powerful cards. Like, I think if we ask you, Adukta, you would say that Evolve is not like the most powerful card, but what it does is it just creates these huge swings, right? It creates a lot of uncertainty. It creates a lot of huge swings, which you don't like to face. So when you're facing shamans, you're just like, oh geez, like this Evolve can end the game. Or them top decking Crackling Doom, which our opponent did twice in the latest coup.
Oh god.
This stuff, it just makes shamans very powerful, but also very swingy. Not just when they have the card and they play it, but like just it makes a lot of things very unpredictable, and they're losing that. Like, they're becoming a more predictable class, which I think is good for the overall health of the arena
And bad for the shaman. Because the shaman thrives on unpredictability and the random totems and stuff.
It does. I mean, it's just kind of an RNG class, like Crackle, right? I thought Crackle was just the epitome of shaman. Like, of course they would give him Crackle. Like, yeah, it's like whenever you needed only 3 damage, it dealt 7, and whenever you needed 6 or 7 damage, it always dealt 3. That's how it went. But anyway, so shamans are losing a ton, and let's check out what they're gaining.
Let's check out what they're gaining. It's not bad. I mean, 125. There's 3 cards right here that are all like in the low 120s, which is like low premiums. So they're not totally left to dry. One is elemental focused, which is great because they have so many other elemental synergies. Not in arena, they don't. 2 mana, Earthen Might, give a minion +2/+2. If it's an elemental, add a random elemental to your hand.
Yep, 125, and a lot of times just a 2 mana 2/2 like buff works, right? We've seen this like 2 mana 2/2 buff, like Mark of Yasharaj. A lot of times you'll just play it on something that's not a beast, and here you're going to play a non-elemental. But wow, if you do manage to play it on an elemental, like, get an extra card. That's fantastic.
And not only that, but a lot of elementals synergize with elementals if you play the other elemental on this last turn. So, could chain. Witch's Apprentice, 122. It's a 1 mana 0/1 taunt. Battlecry, add a random shaman spell to your hand. Instead of a 1/1, it's a 0/1 taunt. I like the slight creativity Blizzard did here. Slight creativity, but it's the same deal.
Yeah,
we've seen these before. You have anything special to say about this?
No, look, we've seen so many variants of this, right? In so many different ways, different forms, and what they give is always a little bit different, but it's all the same.
Bog Shaper. Whenever you cast a spell, draw a minion from your deck. and it's a 7 mana 4/8, which means it's going to be kind of difficult to remove.
Yeah, this thing. Look, for 7 mana, for it being understated, this is like a pretty decent distribution,
Yeah.
right? 7 mana, 4/8, and we
Like, if
saw
you draw
this
one card, it's worth it. And you could draw one
right,
card on the turn you play it if you play it late enough. And a lot of Shaman spells are overloaded, which means they have very low mana cost to start.
right. Like looking at the stats itself, it's like okay, like what you're giving up in order to get that benefit. I'm like, it's worth it. It's quite worth it. So this is a card that you're gonna see a decent amount, and I like how it draws a minion. Right, it's not
Mm-hmm.
like generate a spell, which I think Blizzard has also realized. It's like, oh, like we want them to draw minions. We don't want them to just keep on generating random spells. Like that's the worst. Or just drawing spells from your deck or doing stuff like that. So, like we see that here. We also saw that with Book of Specters, right?
Mm-hmm.
For Mage. They want you to draw minions. They want it to be more minion focused. And I think that is something that, is pretty healthy for the arena.
All right, so Shaman's doing pretty well so far. Like these are decent cards. They're gonna get another decent card in Zap. It's deal 2 damage to a minion, overload 1. So this it's 0 mana. So it's kind of like a Holy Smite, but you pay the mana later, which is always good. You always want to pay the mana later if you can, especially if it's overload, which has synergies with some other Shaman cards. So it ends up being pretty good, 111.
Yeah, it's just a little bit small, but
It's a little
it
bit
is.
small. It throws you off curve, but it does stuff.
Yep. All right. Where is this next card? Wow. We have to go a bit of
I
a
mean,
ways,
we're done with the Shaman. No, I'm just kidding. Blazing Invocation. I'm pretty sure this card is bugged right now, so I'm not
It's
gonna hold
bugged,
it to
yeah.
the score. It's not really a 78. It's gonna end up being something like a 100.
Yeah, yeah.
It's 1 mana. Discover a battle cry minion.
Which is good. But remember you are paying the tax, right? The 1 mana tax in
Mm-hmm.
order to grab something. And we've established previously that yeah, the reason that these sort of cards are good is because you're choosing the card later on. The further you can push a decision like this, the more information you've been able to gather, and the better you are able to respond to whatever you need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
But once again, you do pay that 1 mana,
Yep.
so it kind of evens out.
You've seen these before. It's like I know a guy, right? It's
Yeah,
like
yeah.
Journey Below. Like,
Mhm.
okay. So, and then we have Ghost Light Angler. This card is not actually a 74. Let me see what it actually is because it's an Echo card.
Yep.
This card is a 87. So still a bad card. It doesn't look like a good card. And it's not. It's a 2 mana 2/2 that echoes. So it's not good on turn 2. It's not good on turn 4. It's not good on turn 6. But it kind of does stuff.
Yeah, it's what more can you say about it? It's a
Yeah.
2 mana, like we've seen 2 mana 2/2s, and now this gives you the option to get many 2 mana 2/2s if you
Mm-hmm.
want. That's
And
it.
then we have a fun card. You want to talk about Totem Cruncher?
Totem Cruncher. Yeah, this is one that I think both of us like we looked at it and we're just like, wow, it is not
Some
great.
people think this is actually like a decent card.
Yeah, I mean, here's the way you want to look at it, I think. So if it destroys one totem, it is a 4 mana 4/5 taunt, which is good, but you have to remember you spent 2 mana on the totem, right? So
Mm-hmm.
it is a 6 mana 4/5 taunt. Or you can have an an 8 mana like 6/7 taunt. Like no matter how you do it, it doesn't work out. It just really doesn't work out. Now,
Yep.
what it does is it allows you to gain something, to make your totems into a little bit something more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because if you didn't have a great way to use your totems, and if all you were doing is like, well, I just have to totem because I got nothing better to do, and then your totems survive, would you want to give up your totems to get +2/+2 on this? It's like, yeah, you would,
Yeah, you
but
definitely would.
then at the same time, you're playing something with a base of 2/3, right?
Yeah, like you
So
basically need to eat 1.5 totems for this to be worth it.
right, and then
Eh.
once again, like
So like, are you really eating 2 totems? Like, how often does that actually happen?
right, right. So with this, like I can see it getting some value sometimes, but it never works out mana
Mm-hmm.
wise. Like it only works out if you say, I couldn't do anything with the mana,
Yeah.
right? And now this gives me a way to consolidate the mana that was basically unused into these totems that are pretty like worthless in my deck into something that is worthwhile.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you sort of lay that out, I think you can understand it's
Yeah.
like, okay, this is not that
This
good.
is what is meant by low upside. Like the
Yeah.
upside of, let's say, crunching, you know, almost never get 4 totems. Let's say 3 totems realistically, is that you've gained like a +1/+1 on this minion that you shouldn't have. Like
Yeah.
that's the upside, and the downside is pretty bad. So it's not that good of a card. All right, let's look at the legendaries. For Shaman, Shudderwalk, the super random card. Repeat all other battle cries from cards you played this game. It's a 121. You have plenty of battle cry minions in this game. A lot of the battle cries don't have targets, so it wouldn't be chosen randomly. So this is the difference, right, between Shudderwalk and that rogue card in Tess. Tess costs 1 less mana, but you have way fewer way fewer cards from other classes than you have battle cries.
Right.
Shudderwalk is 1 more mana, but you're going to be able to pull off like pretty easily, maybe like 4 battle cries.
Yeah, and did you see in the stream? I didn't know that this was the way it would work, but if you played how long like will this go on? It copies this thing. I thought it like would generate a 2/3 with taunt.
No, well,
But
that card, the text says make the copy of this card.
I know it does. I just like for some reason, and it should be that way, right? It should be that way. But for some reason, I was like, oh, it'll just summon like 1 more taunt. I was like, oh, of course, it copies itself. It just like it repeats the battle cries, right? And if you just repeat the battle cry, it will just copy this. But yeah, it's I'm definitely high on this card. Like I look forward to picking it and playing it whenever I get the chance.
Yep. All right. Is there no other? Oh, the other one. I think the other legendary is an even or odds one that's not in the arena. Or if it is, it's not showing up somehow. So.
No, it's the Death Knight.
It's the Death Knight. That's right. It's the Death Knight, so it's not in arena. So we don't have to worry about that.
Yep, it's Hagatha the Witch.
So now that we've gone over all the Shaman cards, what do you think? Like, is Shaman like going to totally suck and is unredeemable, or is Shaman like we can like maybe okay?
I think Shaman will still be okay. And once again, this goes back to sort of how they, because they're losing so much stuff. It depends on how they sort of structure the draft as well. But look, Shaman still has good removals, right? And they still have really good cards. And if Blizzard still tries to favor Shaman a little bit by giving it, like a few more picks at the good cards, then it can still be really good. Like Shamans with like lightning storms and fire elegies and volcanoes and unstable evolutions and hexes like Stormforge axes. Like, is that going to be a bad class? Hell no. Like, that's going to be a really good class. So I wouldn't like fret about Shaman just yet. They lost a lot of good cards, but they still have a lot left. And it's sort of always been that case, right? Shaman has had like really good cards for a long time. And I think it's premature to say that because they're losing all these premium cards, they won't be a good class. They still have a chance at it. It's just, they are just not going to be, the number 2 class that they are right now.
I don't know, man. I think it's over. I think
like, nope,
look at this.
Nope.
Just stay with me here, right? Left hand side, right? The 132 plus the great cards, right?
Okay.
Look at that list, right? Okay. Now I'm gonna go to Rogue,
Uh-huh.
and
Okay.
I'm gonna start scrolling. Do you see the huge difference in the number of class cards that are in the two? Now I'm gonna go to Priest.
Uh-huh.
Do you see all the Priest cards? Now I'm gonna go to Paladin. Do you
Okay.
see all these Paladin cards?
Well,
Now
no,
I'm gonna go to
but see,
Mage.
once again,
Do you see all?
it's not about the number of good cards they have. It's about like the buckets and how frequently they get to pick out of those buckets, right?
Okay, that's fair. But if these are the only cards in the top buckets, well, are they just gonna keep giving you like a million crushing
Yeah.
hands and
Yeah.
hexes? Like
hmm
your options are just always gonna be Unstable Evolution, Stormforge Axe, Hex, Crushing Hand, and like Fire Elemental and Volcano.
Yeah, and a class like that will do really well.
Okay, fine.
No,
Like
like,
if they allow you to have like on average like 2.5 crushing hands per draft, fine, maybe. But like there's not a lot following it either. Like I don't know. I think it's gonna be comical if Shaman is not the worst class in this meta. As in,
yeah.
whenever you face a Shaman, you will know that this Shaman has 2 hexes, 2 crushing hands, 3 lightning storms, and like 2 volcanoes and 4 fire elementals. Like that's how comical it would be for Shaman not to be the worst class.
I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
All right, well, that's Shaman. Once again, hit the like button. Hit the like button on all these videos. I know we weren't like on top of asking for it. Leave a
Yep.
comment if you want to discuss things. There's going to be, I'm sure there'll be other people who will disagree with us as well or want to discuss the cards. And once again, all these numbers will be up on Thursday, and they'll be a little different because we're still updating and figuring some of the stuff out. So don't expect all the numbers to be the same, but the tier list is at thelightforge.com, and that matches our podcast name, which is the Lightforge if you're into podcasts. And so everything's all about Arena. Yeah, so hope you guys, if you're watching this and you're a new viewer, hope you guys stick around and follow or subscribe. This is Adwicta.
This is Merps.
We will see you in Warlock. You need a break or no?
No, let's go.
Let's go.